Good evening and welcome to Chamber Chat. I'm Melissa Vance, the President and CEO of the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce. Tonight we are so excited to have with us Amy Holthouse from Rose's Office 360 and Roxie Deer from our office, talking all about the Chamber's Business Expo and Taste of Wayne County. And then we will be hearing more about that China trip that you keep seeing all over the place. And then we'll wrap up with Reid Health, talking about their expansion projects going on around the region. You won't want to go anywhere. Welcome back. So we are starting the show off tonight with my great friend, Amy Oler Holthouse. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
And of course, Roxie Deer from the Chamber. Welcome,
Hello.
Roxie.
Long time no see.
It is that time of year when we are talking about the Chamber's Business Expo and Taste of Wayne County and how all of that ties together. But first, before we go into that, I really want to let you, Amy, talk a little bit about some of the projects you have going on within your organization and tell us about what you've been doing.
Sure. Well, I've been trying to reach out to as many customers and businesses in the county and in the region as I can, not only to share more about what Office 360 brings to Rose's and our buying power, but the service we can provide. We really pride ourselves on that and being a local go-to person for all of your needs in your office from A to Z. Which really brings us to, kind of the expo and the discussion about one of the brands that I represent, which is Fellows.
Right.
So it's very exciting. They're also a fourth generation family owned business, one of the top brands that we sell. They do a lot with workspace wellness, which we know has been a topic all summer with business ed and something that we hear a lot about.
Well, I don't think that often when employers think about workplace wellness that they initially go to office products.
Sure.
But they should.
Right.
Because some of those things play into that too. The sedentary lifestyle of sitting at a desk for 8 hours, it doesn't really play well into this whole wellness concept. So talk about that.
Sure. And it is relatively new to the discussion, but when you really step back and think about your whole world and a macro look at your life and your lifestyle, like you mentioned, where you spend a huge amount of your time and the way that you spend it is really important. The kind of the buzzwords for wellness in the workplace have even been exercise, health plans, all of those kinds of things, and yet the majority of the time for your wellness is spent at your desk, in your office, and whether that be a lot of the things would include foot rests, back supports, wrist supports, all these little things that, like you mentioned, we don't think about are how we spend the most of our time. And if I'm exercising, that's important too, or eating well.
Sure.
That's a total of, 3 hours of my day, and I'm spending 9-ish hours doing work, and the way that you do that is really important. So it's fun to represent Fellows. They are a top quality company, lots to offer. Everything from a little footrest all the way to the big sit-stand desks, which are very popular.
That's on my Santa wish list this
Santa
year,
wish
by the way.
Okay, I will make sure I get that down. But it is important in ways to find solutions where you're feeling good at work, and who cares about that? Right? Who cares? Well, HR cares if you're there every day.
Right.
And you're not having health claims, your neck's not hurting, those kinds of things. And safety departments, really everyone in the organization, your manager cares. If you're there and you're happy, you're doing a better job.
Right.
It all fits together.
And I think we
So-
even have a couple slides to that point that you brought along that just kind of show, that health and safety, in regards to, are you going to have back issues that are going to require you to be out of the office? Are they going to have carpal tunnel that's going to require a claim and a surgery? Some of those types of things.
A lot of it is very preventative. So it hasn't always been the top thing on the radar or the top thing in the budgetary, but when you are looking at long-term expenses, those kinds of purchases can make a big difference in the long run for a lot of different reasons. So it makes a lot of sense to look at it now. There's a lot of simple things that can be done to prevent those issues later down the road. So, which is a big reason why we decided that the Expo this year would be a really exciting partnership with us. We're looking forward to being there and representing fellows at that event and having things there, samples,
letting
touch,
people
feel, play with,
check it
look
out.
at things. So we're really excited about that.
Kind of feel how that can work in the office. Before we move on to the event side of things, which we really want to talk to you about, Roxie, but just to tie into what you said, we always hear that employers have a hard time attracting a workforce and retaining a workforce. And I think it's some of the little things that you can do to show that you care about your employees, and this is one of them.
Exactly.
If you have trendy products that are going to make them feel better about themselves or demonstrate that you're willing to invest in them, that makes them want to be a better employee, want to be more faithful in showing up, and you're potentially going to attract the right employees that you want to keep.
And it is an energy that's catching. For those companies who are buying these types of products and using them. I can tell you that I have employees at different layers of the organization saying, wow, this is fantastic. I want one too. What can I do? How do I get one? And there's the social part of work. Yes, you're supposed to be working. Yes, you're productive. But, having dual monitor arms seems simple. And yet, when you're in a group meeting and you're trying to discuss things, everyone can see, you're able to put up multiple views, things like that. There are just so many layers to it, really.
It's the little things that make a big difference.
That's true.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's really neat that you're tying in and working on that to provide those solutions.
We're trying to make all those connections, like you said, for the businesses and organizations around here. It often is the little things that can make a big difference to attracting talent too.
Well, we really appreciate Rose's Office 360 jumping in and supporting the Chamber's Business Expo this year. That's always a fun event. Roxie, tell us a little bit about the Expo, the taste, how they work together, because sometimes that's a question mark.
Yeah, so October 17th, we will be at the Tom Reaper Center, and half of the building will be a business expo, but on the other side, we'll have Taste of Wayne County, and that is where you can get all of the free samples of all the local restaurants that are there that night, and so that's there is a ticket price, but you can also check out all the businesses for free and see all of their giveaways and all the fun stuff that they've got going on.
It's really a neat synergy that has developed since we added the expo, had it all in one space. With some live music playing. Of course, Rick Duncan joins us from G101 and keeps the energy going in Center Court. But lots of nonprofits there talking about what they do. Lots of businesses. Yeah, so it's really a fun night.
Cordial Cork will be there with their bar again this year, so you'll be able to sample some of their wines. 21 and over, obviously, but that'll be a great addition to the event.
It's fantastic. I'm really excited for us to be there and be part of it. And like you said, it's such a high energy night, and to have some fun things for people to see at the booth and share. So,
if people have never attended this before, I mean, it's big. We have between 500 and 600 people showing up that evening, and whereas when we were in the mall, a lot of times they would go through, they would get their food, they would wander out. now in this scenario with the other businesses, they just want to hang out. They want to hang out, listen to the food, talk to people. It's a very social event that this has turned into. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, when you think about the cross section of participants,
Right.
then you also have that cross section of attendees.
Right.
Some may come just thinking, I'm going to taste the food. And then you're there, and all of a sudden you have a new volunteer for Girls Inc. because they stopped at that booth and found a new interest.
Exactly.
So it's neat.
We had some businesses there last year that walked away with some really great leads for, carpet or home security or whatever.
I personally got my flooring done because of the Wayne County Business Expo. I saw a company, saw some product, and
Fantastic.
went with it.
Well, I hope everyone watching and everyone that comes has a sit stand, a footrest.
There
a
you
wrist-
go.
Yeah, they all need those things on their
Everybody
Santa list.
So Roxie, obviously tickets are going to go on sale closer to the event for attendees.
Yes.
How do businesses, restaurants, nonprofits get their names on the list now to become a vendor?
Yes, you reach out to anyone at the chamber. Our phone number is 962-1511, or you can email us. My email is probably the best, Roxie, Roxie, at wcareachamber.org, and we'll get you signed up right away. And that list is already started, so we're excited to see. Last year we ran out of space, so please sign up early.
That's one thing that with our events we have just been having to stress over and over and over again is they're all selling out. So, and that's a really good problem. But if you have an interest, sign up early, get your spot because they won't be there long.
Absolutely.
But thank you both for being with me.
Thank you.
Thank you for your partnership, Roxie. You hit it out of the park every time, so we know this is going to be another great one.
Yeah, we're excited.
And we're thrilled to be part of it. So.
Well, we will be back in just a few moments with our friends from Reid Health. But before that, we want to give you a little tease about an upcoming trip to China that we would love to have you join us on next April. Here's all that information. Welcome back. While you were learning all about the opportunity to go to China, a couple colleagues have stepped into the studio, Misti Foust-Cofield and Angie Dickman, both from Reid Health. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being with us on the show tonight.
Our pleasure.
Wanted to just bring you in and talk to you a little bit about all of the exciting things that Reid has going on, the expansion, the new services. Who wants to start? Just give us a quick overview about some of the things that have been happening.
Well, obviously the biggest project and the most visible one is the Connersville transition. So certainly Misti has really been the leader on that particular initiative. We let her talk about that. But we've also got several other initiatives, Cambridge City expansion, PACE clinic expansion on the west side, over in Eaton, the Kmart building. It's really not got any plans for it yet, but certainly on our radar. But Connersville is probably the top of people's mind.
Absolutely.
So Reid took ownership of Connersville how many weeks ago?
It was July 16th was the date that we...
It has been a whirlwind, I'm sure.
It has been, yes, absolutely. You know, we didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this acquisition, but we have definitely approached it with enthusiasm, and we've been very eager to help serve the Fayette County community. So I think that we are filling a very great void for the members of that community.
Well, I know a lot of people there were very concerned about travel time to and from other entities, regardless of what direction they would go. But certainly if they drove to Reid, which is probably the closest hospital other than Fayette, then, you know, there's still that travel time, and that's an issue. So you all stepping in, taking ownership of that facility and providing services there is excellent.
Yes, we are very thrilled that we're able to keep the ED open and operational. We've seen volumes going up already. We have lab services, Angie's great services with the lab and radiology team that we have opened up. And then we've also taken ownership of the care pavilion that is outside of the town a little bit, but that provides a great service to the adolescent psychiatric population with mental health.
So talk a little bit more about that, because I think a lot of people maybe haven't been familiar with the Care Pavilion and what all they offer. How are you meeting the needs of the community through that service?
Sure, it would be my pleasure to share about that. So what used to be the Whitewater Valley Care Pavilion is now the Reid Health Care Pavilion. We have 12 inpatient adolescent psychiatric beds, and then on the other side of the building we offer 30 residential adolescent psychiatric beds. So the typical length of stay for the children on the residential side is approximately 6 to 9 months, and the children in that facility range from the age of 6 to 17. On the acute side, we serve the same population, children ages 6 to 17, but the general length of stay is about 7 to 10 days for those children.
And as I'm sure you're aware, behavioral health coverage is a huge gap and need, not only in Indiana, but particularly in Indiana, but nationwide. And so us being able to keep that service going, we draw from all over the state.
Absolutely, yes.
It's not really a local service. Obviously, we serve the local community, but it is a statewide resource.
So talk a little bit more about, as you look at the needs assessments and the needs of the community versus what exists now, whether it's Fayette County or Preble County or Wayne County, how do you see gaps kind of bubbling up to the top, and then what is Reid doing or other entities doing, and what more do we need to do to fill the gaps?
Well, I think many people may not realize that the healthcare system is transitioning to more of an outpatient focus. The goal is to keep people out of the hospital, whether they get treated, be able to go home, or even out of a nursing home for the elderly population. So trying to keep people treated in a physician office or an outpatient setting or day services is really the emphasis. And so that's a main reason why the expansions are outside of their hospital campus is because we're trying to increase the outpatient access regionally. And areas that we're trying to meet, obviously, not a surprise, substance abuse, obesity, lack of exercise, and prevention.
Right. So the facility on the west side, what is going to be in there? What's the timeline for that?
Sure.
How is it going to fit into the mix?
It's called a PACE program, which is
Okay.
a program for all-inclusive care of the elderly. And the goal really is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Miss, but the goal really is to treat medically fragile elderly
Okay.
that probably don't need to go to a nursing home, but have enough medical issues that they need pretty constant care.
Okay.
And so it's a day program, and there'll be multi-services. There's going to be physician available. There'll be pharmaceutical available. There'll be rehab, outpatient rehabilitation services, counseling.
Transportation will also be offered
Right.
to the clients at PACE.
That's amazing in and of itself, because transportation is such an issue
It
for
is.
those that don't drive in the community.
Right.
So what will that look like? Transportation, is there, are there boundaries on who qualifies for transportation and who doesn't?
Well, CMS, Medicare, designates a certain area that we can cover. And basically the way Medicare says is they reimburse us a fixed amount a month, and how we want to expend the resources to best meet the patient's needs really up to us. So I would imagine, obviously we're not live yet, but we
Right.
have kind of a shuttle service planned, and I would imagine if the patient or family expresses transportation as a need, then we'll figure that out. I think a lot is up to us to be able to meet the needs
Right.
best.
Good. So what's the timeline for that?
The current goal is January 1st.
Okay.
But we'll say that as a goal. There's a lot
Sure.
that needs to be completed,
Sure.
both from a facility standpoint and an IT standpoint, and certifications and all kinds of stuff that has to happen between now
Right.
and then.
Well, I drive by there multiple times a day because I'm over on that part of the county. And so seeing the transformation, it's really been amazing, because that building has sat empty for so long. And I think that's what I'm hearing is it's exciting to see something actually happening there.
Well, we're
So-
glad we can
Right.
meet a need and hope it sparks further development.
Exactly. I think once that gets going, there's going to be other entrepreneurs that are wanting to kind of come over there because there'll be more traffic. So that's what we're hoping, just to continue seeing growth on that side of Richmond, which is, it's been a while.
It has.
So overall, with Reid and the initiatives for wellness, obviously you have an entire wellness department that serves your employee population, but also does some outreach outside of the hospital too. And I'm not sure everyone knows about that. Do you want to talk about that briefly?
Sure. Our wellness department has some outreach with certain employers. They do health fairs and screenings and provide educational opportunities. It's really, I encourage employers who might have an interest in this kind of program to reach out to us and see what might be possible, because we have a wide range of partnerships that are possible depending on where the interest of the employer is, how their health plan is designed, all kinds of things.
Well, we just heard on the last segment, some information from Office 360 about, the use of standing desks and some of those other things that play into this whole wellness initiative, and how employers can just create an environment of wellness that helps reduce sickness, injuries, out of work time, all of that kind of thing. And so partnering with Reid on the screenings and the prevention side of things really overall goes back to what you said earlier. It keeps people out of the hospital, keeps healthcare costs down.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's a win-win for everyone.
Right.
Well, we really appreciate what you all are doing, what you all, not just for Wayne County, but for the region as a whole. And if there's anything that the Chamber can do to be more supportive, please let us know. But thank you for meeting the needs of our population and growing the workforce. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure.
And our honor.
Well, that is a wrap for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on WETV Channel 20.